Hello. We are continuing our message on the teachings of Jesus. Many people say they're Christian, but many don't even know what it means to be a Christian. To be a Christian is to be a follower of Jesus, to be like Jesus, to be Jesus' disciples. And many people say, well, I'm a Christian, I'm a follower of Jesus. And we don't even know who Jesus is or his teachings. How can you say we follow Jesus and we don't read his Bible, we don't read his teachings and his message? So I'm giving many sermons based on the teachings of Jesus so that those can make a decision based on the teachings of Jesus should they decide to be a follower of Jesus or not. uh, Freedom of religion, I really believe, and I'm personally a follower of Jesus, but I'm sharing with you Jesus' teachings that led me to make that decision. And hopefully, as you experience his teaching, you'll be led to make that same decision. Well, our sermon today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, which records the teachings of Jesus in chapter 6, verse 6. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others, to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So today we're talking about is not what you look like when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. This message today is based on communication, how we communicate and act in our daily lives. Communication is the exchange of meaning and ideas, truths and untruths between individuals through a common systems of symbols. Psychologists notice that much of our communication involves attempting to impress others. Much of our communication is focused on saying and doing things to impress other people, getting people to agree to our agenda, getting people to look up and admire us. Much of what we say today is just to impress other people. So, what psychologists have discovered is that a lot of our communication, a lot of our acts and our statements are really fake. We do things so people will admire us, appreciate us, adore us. So, today, communication is a tool that we use to have people like us and impress us. So we get on the internet, the video, and say, "Look, I'm living my best life." And often we're very sad about our life, but we tell people we're living our best. Or we say, "Look, I'm rich," but yet we're not rich because we refuse to save our money. Look, we say, "Look, I got a good man and a good woman," but really we're not happy with our man or woman, but we want to have people be impressed with us. So we say we got a good man or a good woman. So a lot of communication is unfortunately fake, trying to impress people. This fake communication is part of what makes us human. When Cain killed Abel because he was jealous of Abel, God approached Cain and said, "Where's your brother Abel?" Cain replied, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Now Cain knew where his brother was. Cain killed him and left him dead. He knew exactly where he killed him and where he left him. But he didn't want to look bad in front of God. So he just said, "I don't know. I don't keep up with my brother." So we find ourselves that often we say things and do things because we want to cover up the sins or the weaknesses we have. We don't want others to see it. So Jesus approaches this communication dilemma or aspect of humanity. And he says, be careful not to practice your acts of righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. When you do something to impress somebody, then the good things, the good deeds, the good words have no bearing and no blessings in the eyes of God. In a modern vernacular, Jesus is saying, it's not what you look like, when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. See, people will give to the poor so the others can look at them and say, look, he's so generous. People will smile and say nice things to other people. They say, look, this person, they're such a kind, caring person. People will stand up and boldly profess, I'm a Christian. I'm born again. I love God. So people say, oh, this is a good and honest person. Yet they don't even know what Christian means. They don't even read the Bible. They have no idea of the teachings of Jesus. People would say and do all kinds of things to look good or to be favorably thought of by others. People would demonstrate all kinds of fake behaviors and words to impress others, to deceive others, to trick others into believing that they're good or honest. Often people say, did you hear? He left his wife, but he said he loved her. Did you hear? He took all his money from his wife, but he said he loved her. That's always that. We always say, did you hear? But he said. So saying something has little bearing. We must ask ourselves, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? Jesus says fake behavior is not rewarded in the kingdom. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. God is not moved by our actions and our verbiage. God is concerned about our intent, our actions, our motivation. See, God sees our heart. He sees what's in our heart, and that makes his decision in response to our presence and our action, in our activities. If we're giving to the poor to impress people, to make people think we're charitable and good, then your gifts to the poor is in vain. If you do things, kind acts, to impress people, to make people think you're kind, but really you're not, those kind acts are not recognized or blessed by God. Your behavior is not a measure. Your motivation of your behavior is the measure. Now, this concept is difficult for modern people to accept or believe. We say, I don't believe that if I do nice things, God is not going to bless me. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that if I treat people who I'm prejudiced against, but I treat them nice anyway, that God's going to bless me, that God would not bless me for that. I just don't believe that if I treat people that I hate, but I pretend that I like them, that God is not going to bless me for treating these people that I hate nicely. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that if I smile at a person that I can't stand, but I smile at them anyway, so I can look nice in front of people, that God's not going to bless me for smiling at that person that I hate. Well, Jesus goes even further. He says, even if you do church ministry, even if you worship and praise God, if you're not doing it from your heart, you have no blessings. See, it's not what you do. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you do. It's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, praise my name, will enter the kingdom of heaven. But he who does my Father's will enter heaven. Many will say in that day, Lord, didn't I prophesy in your name? Didn't I drive out demons in your name? In your name, didn't I perform great miracles? And Jesus is going to say, I'm going to tell them plainly, I don't know you. Away, you evil doers. People may do all kinds of acts of Christian kindness and ministry, but if they have not been born again, have the love of God in their heart, their acts and kindness are meaningless. You may prophesy, you may heal, you may perform great miracles, you may feed the hungry. But if these acts are done to impress others and not for the love of God in your heart, then those acts are meaningless. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you do. It's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. Our acts are based on God's love and obedience is counted in heaven. The Bible goes on and says, I may speak the tongues of angels. I may have the gift of prophecy. I may fathom all the mysteries and knowledge of the Bible. I may have faith that can move a mountain. I give all my possessions. Well, I'm preaching up in here to the poor. I may give over my body to hardships that I might boast and brag. But if I don't have the love of God in my heart, I gain nothing. Remember the greatest commandment: love your Father and your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. And the second is like the first: love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're not based on loving your neighbor as yourself, then all your acts of kindness are in vain. No matter what you do, if it's not motivated from the love of God and the love of your neighbor, then your doing is nothing. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. You know, I like to close this sermon. I always like to use examples. Jesus used contemporary examples his time explaining the kingdom. I like to use modern examples today. So I'm going to use the example of the crackhead who dies and meets my Jesus. Remember, it's not what you look like when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. Crackhead dies, like all of us eventually die. And there's a group of people that have died. They're all getting in line to be judged and see Jesus in the council and receive the judgment, heaven or earth. And the people in line begin to talk. Oh man, they said, man, this judgment is rough. I just heard there was a preacher down there being sent to hell. So, this is some rough stuff. Look like not many of us gonna make it into heaven. Oh, and Bubba, well, you know where you going, Bubba. But yeah, Bubba the crackhead. We know you're going to hell. Bubba said, yeah, I know I'm going. It is what it is. I make mistakes in my life. So they're getting in line. And as they're getting in line for judgment, Jesus sees Bubba and walks up. Bubba, how are you? So good to see you. He puts his hand around his arms and hands around Bubba and brings up to the council. You guys, this is the Bubba Scrub that everybody in heaven is always talking about. This is the Bubba Scrub. Bubba, you've been faithful for a few things. Come on up higher. I'll make you rule over me. Bubba said, wait, Lord. That's nice for you to greet me and say people been talking about me, but you got the wrong person. I'm Bubba Scrub. Yeah, you call yourself Bubba Scrub the crackhead. Yeah, that's what I'm known as, Bubba Scrub the crackhead. Yeah, we know you. People all in heaven talking about you. Well, how am I getting in heaven? Bubba, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked, I was clothed. I was ill and came to visit me. I needed help and you assisted me. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a foreigner and you welcomed me. All these great things you did. Now, Lord, I was on crack quite a bit. And now you're right. If I was to see you naked or sick or in need, I'd definitely respond because I believe in responding to especially to you and all my human brothers and sisters. But when did I see you and do these things? See, Bubba, I always keep telling you to go to church. You remember that? Yeah, I would hear a voice of my conscience. Hey, you call it conscience, Bubba, but it was me. Okay, that's fine. I kept telling you to go to church. I kept telling you to read the Bible. I even sent some Bibles to your house. You remember that? Oh, yeah, I saw some Bible. And you never read them. I would tell you to do things. See, Bubba, this is how I work up in here. I tell you what to do. And then I also show it in the Bible, in the Word. So you hear me talking to you, and you can get it verified through the Word and through other believers. You never read my Word, Bubba. That's I give it to you. But you read my Word, it would teach you. You remember, Bubba, when you was 10 years old, and he was trying to decide if you're going to be good or bad. Yeah, I remember that. And your mama said you wanted to go to the movies. Your mama said, before you go to the movie, you had to go to church. Yeah, I remember that. Your mama gave 50 cents, right? Yeah, 25 cents for the movie, 25 cents for the popcorn. Okay. Now, you remember you went to church. What happened? Just tell my group here, I want them to understand how I work. Sometimes they get confused and they get all upset when I'm saying Bubba coming into heaven. Tell them what happened. Well, I went to Sunday school and, I stole 25 cents. I stole a candy bar. That's right. You went to the Sunday school. You stole the candy bar from your Sunday school teachers purse. Now, you know, she laughed when she saw that candy bar stolen because she was going to give you the candy bar anyway. I already told her, put a candy bar in your purse and Bubba going to come. So she was going to give it to you anyway. You just stole it and took off. Well, that particular Sunday, when you was thinking in your mind, are you going to be good or bad? And what does it mean to be good or bad? The lesson would have taught you treating your fellow man good is being good. That's what I want you to do. I want you to clothe the naked, to feed the hungry, to welcome the stranger, to visit the incarcerated, to be kind to other people. That was the lesson. How does God work through you? By being kind to other people. But see, you took off eating your candy bar. Did you enjoy the movie? Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Popcorn's pretty good too. Okay, so yeah, candy bar and pop. But nevertheless, you missed that Sunday school lesson. You still followed my voice. You were kind to people. And that's what I wanted you to do. I'd whisper, Bubba, take care of that person. Bubba, be kind to that person. And you just did it. Every time I whisper something, you did it. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah. You helped all kind of people. You remember what was that lady you helped? Well, you helped so many, but you remember that one that just crazy about you. Oh, Porky? Yeah, Porky. What you call her? Porky the prostitute. Oh yeah, Porky. Tell this group how you helped Porky. Tell them the story about the pimp and everything. Oh, yeah, the pimp was getting ready to beat up on Porky. I said, you don't touch Porky. Leave her alone. I said, as long as she on my block, you don't touch her. See, that's Bubba Scrub. Tell them what else he said. Yeah, I told Porky, if I told the pimp, if you see Porky walking down the street with $1 in her hand, you better not touch her. That's Porky's dollar. Leave her alone. And what did the pimp do? Well, the pimp said I was crazy. And he never bothered Porky as long as he stayed on my block. Yeah, he helped all kind of people. Oh, he helped people, different people that was sick. He'd take them to the hospital or came to his room. Oh, yeah. Tell about that young fella you helped, that young suburban boy you helped. Oh, yeah, we used to call him White Boy Nick. Yeah, White Boy Nick. Tell him that story. I think that's a wonderful story, too. Well, Nick was a boy, came from the suburb, and he decided he could be a drug addict like me. And he came into the neighborhood, and people was beating him up and robbing him of his money. He's bloody, and he's all messed up and scared. And I saw people beating on the boy. I said, leave that boy alone. And I picked him up, took him to my place where I stayed, which was an abandoned house. I even let him lay in my mattress. I used to get my mattress, but he was a little kid. So I said, well, you lay in my mattress. And I just laid on the floor. And then he got, I made him bandage him up, got him feeling better. And then I told him, I said, young fella, what's your name? He told me his name was Nick. I said, okay, I'm going to call you White Boy Nick. And tell me what you doing. He said he just wanted to go on drugs and live a free life. What'd you tell him? I said, man, look, little fella, this world is too rough for you. You cannot survive in these streets. Now go back home to your mama and daddy, do what your mom and daddy say, get a life, move out in the suburb, and be thankful that I found you. And if I ever see you here again, I'm just going to let them kill you. And what did the young fella do? The young fella started crying and said he wanted to go home to his mama, but he didn't have no money. And so you guys, Bubba gave him money. Well, yeah, Lord, I gave him money, but I stole the TV, sold the TV, and gave him the money from the TV. Yeah, I know you don't do things conventional ways, but you got the guy a ticket on the bus to go home to his mother. Well, Nick's doing well. Oh, is he? Oh, yeah, Nick's doing very well. He went back to school. He got a degree. He got training, some technical degree. He's doing well. Got a wife and 3 kids, moved out in the suburb, active in his church. Nick, to this day, he still goes to the inner city and he gives out blankets and food and stuff to help the needy and everything. Fine young man, fine family, goes to church. He's active. He's active in politics about helping making the world better. He's a big shot in Republican. Now look, Bubba, we got all kind of Christians. Some of them Republicans, some of them are Democrat, some are independents. But the most important thing, whatever they do, they're doing it to be kind, to make the world a better place. So we all, okay, that sounds pretty good, Lord. So yeah, so Nick's doing well. Oh yeah, he's doing well. Well, people all up in heaven want to thank you for the lives, those that you fed when it was hungry, those that you clothed, those that you protected, those that you aided. They're just so happy. They want to see you and thank you. And they've been talking all about you. When Bubba Scrub the pimp coming? So we'd like to bring you up because, again, you've been faithful over a few things. Come on up high and make you ruler over me. One more thing, Bubba, I got to teach you. I'm trying to teach Apostle Paul and all this, how you judge people. Tell us, why did you help these people? In your own words, I know you don't know the biblical words, you never read my Bible, but in your words, tell me, why did you help these people? Why did you help that young boy and help that young lady? And why did you show all these acts of kindness? Well, Lord, I guess I had no other choice. When I see a fellow human being, I figure that's life and that we should help people. And so I would do all I can to help. I had no other choice. You see there? Now, Bubba had a choice. He could have did something evil, but he chose to be good. Bubba chose me, and once he chose me, he had no other choice but to do my will. Oh yeah, Bubba here is one of my greatest warriors. Some of the most difficult people that needed my presence and my love and my ministry, I sent to Bubba. And Bubba always took care of them. Everybody knew Bubba. When you got down and out, and some of my high-class Christians didn't want to be bothered with you or felt intimidated or afraid, I sent them down a journey to meet Bubba. And Bubba would always be straight and help them. He's a good man. Made poor decisions for his life, but gave great advice for others. So God bless you, Bubba. Come on in. You see, God is like the undercover boss. God is everywhere. And God creeps up in many disguises to see if you're really real with what you say you are. God is the undercover boss. He comes to you in ways you least expect him. Oh, you're rich, and you say, I'm a Christian. Well, God will visit you as a poor person. You say, well, I'm white. And God will visit you and send a black. Well, you say, I'm a female. Well, God will visit you and send a male. You might say, I'm a Republican, born Republican. And God will visit you through a Democrat. You might say, well, I'm a national. God will visit you through a foreigner. Oh, you may be proud and say, I'm born straight, and be proud of being heterosexual. God will send you a gay. You might be liberal. God will visit you through a conservative. You might be the insider. God will visit you through an outsider. You might be strong. God will visit you through the weak. You might be found your life and know your calling. God will visit you through the lost. And such as you do to the least of these brothers, you do unto God. Yes, it's not what you look like when you're doing what you do. It's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. God is everywhere. We can't hide from God. The Bible says in Psalms 139, the eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. One of my favorite Psalms about God being everywhere, it says, if I go up to the heavens, God is there. If I make my bed in hell, God is there. Psalm 139, verse 8. God is everywhere. And God is watching our acts and our practices. So be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them, because if you do, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you do acts of righteousness, give to the needy. Don't announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, when you do acts of kindness, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what you've done in secret, will reward you in open. Matthew 6, verses 1 through 4. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you do, but it's what you do when you do what you look like you're doing. This is Victor Frost coming to you today at Christ Church Without Walls. Peace and God bless.